Everyone laughed when Jasmine married a man who looked homeless. But when he stepped up to the mic, the truth he revealed turned every mocking whisper into stunned silence. What was he hiding, and why did he wait until the wedding to reveal it? Before we continue, have you subscribed yet? Hit that button for more amazing stories, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. In a modest neighborhood church filled with murmurs and murmured mockery, Jasmine stood in her beautiful white dress, hands trembling but heart certain. Her eyes sparkled behind tears, not of sadness but of hope. She had just said, "I do," to Malachi, a man who many believed was unworthy of her, a man the world labeled as homeless. From the moment they walked into the chapel, whispers floated in the air like smoke. The groom, dressed in an old, faded suit with scuffed shoes, had heads turning and eyebrows raising. Some guests covered their smirks with napkins. Others didn't even try to hide their laughter. "He probably showed up for the free food," a voice whispered from the back pew. "Maybe she's doing some charity project," another chuckled. Jasmine heard it all, but she didn't care. Her heart remembered the nights they sat under the city bridge, not because he couldn't afford a roof, but because that's where he told his stories, where he made her laugh until her ribs ached, where he listened like no one else did. Jasmine saw a soul, not a situation. The ceremony was brief. The priest blessed the rings, and the two kissed. But even as they were announced husband and wife, the condescending looks and stifled giggles continued. At the reception, a modest backyard affair arranged by Jasmine's college friends, the guests reluctantly gathered around folding tables draped in white linen. Malachi remained quiet, letting Jasmine enjoy her moment. But after the cake was cut, the dancing done, and the laughter no longer innocent, Malachi quietly stepped forward. He tapped the microphone. Tap, tap. The small speaker screeched softly. "Hi, everyone," Malachi began, voice calm and eyes steady. "Thank you for being here to celebrate the happiest day of my life. I know many of you are wondering why someone like Jasmine would marry someone like me, a man who, to your eyes, looks like he just stepped off the streets." An awkward silence followed. Jasmine looked up nervously, wondering where he was going with this. "You're right," he continued. "I did look like I stepped off the street. I wore torn shoes. I came to our first date with nothing in my pockets but sincerity. I listened more than I spoke. I gave more than I asked, because I didn't want to impress Jasmine with money. I wanted to show her who I was." He paused, scanning the crowd. "You see, 2 years ago, I inherited my father's estate, a tech mogul no one here seems to remember. I was supposed to become the new face of his empire. But when I took over, I felt sick with how many people surrounded me for the wrong reasons. People who smiled only when I spent. So I walked away, not from the fortune, but from the facade." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "I started dressing plain, rode the bus, slept on benches not because I had to, but because I wanted to see who would see me. Not my clothes, not my wallet, just me." Jasmine's eyes widened. Her lips parted in disbelief. Even she hadn't known the full story. "Then I met Jasmine, the first woman who didn't flinch when she saw my clothes, who didn't ask about my job, but about my favorite book, who brought me sandwiches without asking for anything in return." He turned toward her now, his voice softening. "You loved me when you thought I had nothing. That's why I know your love is worth everything." Malachi pulled out a small envelope from his coat pocket and handed it to Jasmine. She opened it slowly. Inside was the deed to a house, a beautiful home in the countryside, and next to it a check made out in her name, 7 figures long. The crowd was dead silent. Malachi turned back to the mic. "So, to those who laughed at us today, thank you. You reminded me why I started this journey. And to those who didn't, thank you too. You reminded me why love is still worth believing in." He dropped the mic gently onto the table, then took Jasmine's hand. She didn't say a word, just wrapped her arms around him, tears soaking into his old, worn coat. And for the first time that day, everyone stood, not to laugh, but to applaud.